ArcSystemWorks. No shot! Are you kidding me? ArcSystemWorks is working on the new Marvel game? The new Marvel fighting game? No shot! They're the ones doing it? Really? Is that a reason why they added a 3v3 to Guilty Gear Strive? There's no way it's a 1v1 fighting game. There's no way. Is it like a group? Oh, I'll have to see. Is it a tag fighter? Is it a group-based fighter where it's like multiple platforms? What kind of fighter is this? No, yeah, it's Arcs. It's gotta be a 2D fighter. ArcSystemWorks is putting in so much work. Yeah, it's a 2D fighter. Oh, this art style. Oh, this art style. Hold up, hold up. What did I just see there? Oh, I love this. This art style. Oh my god. Is that freaking Iron? That's a really wild looking arm, man. He looks like a Power Ranger. Okay, that looks like a Marvel 3 there. Okay, so there's a tag fighter. There's 2 fighters. Is there gonna be 3 fighters? So we see 2v2 right now. It looks like Marvel Infinite right now. Oh wow, they carried over the stage transition from Guilty Gear Strive, really? Oh my god, it is a 3v3! It is taking over Marvel vs. Capcom. Marvel vs. Capcom is gone and they are taking over the 3v3 format. Literally, this is the greatest robbery in fighting game history. Literally, ArcSystemWorks has stolen the 3v3 property from Capcom. Capcom no longer owns 3v3. Now it is entirely owned by ArcSystemWorks. They did it with Dragon Ball FighterZ, and now they are doing it with Marvel game. Oh my god. The greatest robbery in history. Oh my god. I love this. Oh wow, is that Ghost Rider? I want to get a good look at their art designs. I'm not gonna lie, I really like the way that Star-Lord looks. He looks awesome. Ghost Rider's a little bland, I'm not gonna lie. Where's the leather coat? Where's the trench leather, you know, the big leather coat? The biker look. He kind of looks like he's in a jumpsuit. I'm not digging that. Fucking Dr. Doom, really? They threw Dr. Doom? Is he actually gonna do the one-punch kill that he does on Thanos? This is based off another Ghost Rider named Robbie Reeves. Okay, okay. I'm not as familiar with that one then. This is gonna be the one-punch kill? Okay, no, it's not. He just like dome shot. Go to hell. I don't care about the style effects, just dome shot. Like the Joker fatality, just straight dome shot. Wow. This is based off of another Ghost Rider, yeah. Oh, dude, this game is going to dominate. Oh, there's Storm. Dude, Storm looks awesome! This is the best looking Storm I've seen yet. What the fuck? 4v4? How do you get that high? There's no way you can do more than 3v3. How do you pull off a 4v4 tag battle? How the fuck do you pull that off? What? That's not possible. There's not enough buttons on the controller. That's not possible. That's impossible. Oh yeah, the girl is with the stretchy powers. Her name is Miss Marvel. Yeah, I'm familiar with Miss Marvel. You were surprised as well. How do you pull this off? This doesn't make any sense. And I'm here for it. What the hell? It's absolute.
Marvel Tokon Fighting
Tokon Fighting Souls. The TFS is what people are going to call it. Marvel's TFS. People are hoping that it's a 6-button fighter. It's not. It's going to need more than 6 buttons. It's going to need all 8 buttons. If you're fighting on a fight stick, you're going to need all 8 buttons. And if you're fighting on a fucking controller, they're going to have to be hotkeying, where they're like you hold a trigger and then press a different button. They're going to have to do a hotkey input. There's no friggin' way you're going to have enough inputs for this many characters. Unless they super simplify the input design. They have to super simplify it. Which could work, you know. Tag fighters are already, by their very nature, input simplistic. They're just complex and mechanically. So, big fan of the naming, Tokon Fighting Soldiers. It doesn't, or Tokon Fighting Souls doesn't quite jive with me, but the game looks beautiful. It looks good. ArcSystemWorks fucking killing it. I'm hearing that character designs are done by the same person who did My Hero Academia. That makes sense, honestly. You know, I'm not familiar with My Hero Academia entirely. I know its art style, but it's artistically, it makes sense. You know, it's got that comic book arty anime, comic book art style mixed with anime art style colliding together. It definitely has got that vibe. Fucking wild. This game is gonna be a fucking mess when it comes to balances. Oh my god. But I'm here for it. Honestly, I don't know how ArcSystemWorks keeps doing this, but they keep pushing the envelope forward when it comes down to gameplay design. They are, without a doubt, one of the most bold gameplay studios I've ever seen. One thing I would love to see come back is grid-based fighting where you have multiple platforms. I did hear that Diesel Legacy has that, so it's definitely a game that I'm thinking about picking up real soon. I have the demo downloaded, I just never got around to playing it. But still, you know, just what? Really? As Harada would say, really? Panda? Really? Marvel? Really? Dude, this presentation from Sony was very impressive. This has been good. 3 big hitters. Let's see here. So Marvel's Tokon fighting game, the new 007 game, bunch of more smaller projects. For me, Final Fantasy Tactics is big, but I would imagine that would fall smaller for a lot of people. Silent Hill F being a huge property. Pragmata will definitely gain some attention because it is Capcom. But yeah, Silent Hill F. The announcement of the Ghost of Yotai for this year, but no gameplay reveal. Some people would say Sword of the Sea, given the reputation of the developers, but it looked a little bit timid with that game in particular. It looks cool, but it's a little bit timid. 007, huge game. That's 2 properties right there. The third one here being the Marvel game. They went big for these last 2 right here. These 2 properties in particular, that's huge. I keep seeing joke online. People are saying that Capcom messed up so much on Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. It did, but here's the thing: it's not entirely Capcom's fault. That was also because the Marvel property was going through a lot of changes, and they were kind of kneecapped. It's not entirely their fault, but it was also during the era in which fighting games were really struggling under Capcom supervision at that time. So some of it still is their fault, some of it isn't. Either way, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite marked the end of the fighting game era of Capcom fuckery. You know what I mean? So yeah, Marvel went to another studios to make a better game. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. We don't know if it's a better game yet. It looks very impressive. And artistically, it looks beautiful. And ArcSystemWorks is killing it. They're going to blow up. Currently, they are the biggest creme de la creme when it comes to fighting game studios. They are so sought after. It is no joke. They are probably the biggest and most successful fighting game studio currently. They are just getting so many properties and they are pushing it out and they're keeping up with quality really well. So, yeah. Voice is starting to go out. You can hear it. No shot. No. Don't tell me there's more. Don't tell me there's more. Yeah, sneaky bitches. Don't do it to me. Max said he lost his mind seeing that trailer. Oh yeah, I bet. I'll have to check it out later.
プレイステーションの友人から急になんか飲みに行こうぜっていう連絡が来て、
Okay.
なんのこっちゃと思って。
This is how ArcSystemWorks got a hold of the property.
ちょっと飲んでる中で実はアークの方でマーベルの格闘ゲームを作ってみないかというような提案をいただきまして。
I thought that the Marvel fighting game was going to go over to DC.
本当に聞いた時はびっくりしましたね。
I honestly believed that the Mortal Kombat developers would have got their hands on the game. I'm glad it went to these guys instead. I still love NetherRealm Studios. I still think that they do great work despite their fuckery as of late. They're not in a bad enough state where, you know, they are, you know, considered deviant in the eyes of the community. They're definitely fucked up quite a bit and burned some goodwill with their community, and even not just that, but the consumer base in general. But they're not in the state that Capcom was in when they made the fuckery with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. But still, I thought that they were going to secure this IP. I thought it was definitely going to be theirs. I never in a million years would have thought that ArcSystemWorks would secure this title and do a 4v4 at that. But to get their hands on this IP, that's a huge victory. Like, they already won big with Dragon Ball already as it is. And now to secure Marvel at the same time, in the same the same generation, ArcSystemWorks, gods among gods in fighting games right now. Seriously, they're killing it. What's even more crazy is that they didn't go to Marvel. Marvel came to them. That, you understand that, how big that is for a studio as big as Marvel, not just a studio, but the suits at Marvel to approach you. That's fucking huge. It's one thing for you to come to them begging for the IP, but for them to come begging you, holy shit. You know you're in top tier gaming then. Fucking A. This looks so good. Don't tell me that's the Hulkbuster. Oh, dude, the presentation. Look at that shit. The presentation. Dude, that looks so good. The flare, the Ric Flair. Oh my God. Dude, this game is going to be something wild. Oh my God. 2XKO is going to get cut off at the knees right now, too. This 2XKO is going through some serious drama. And look, I like 2XKO when I played the beta, but it had its issues. Still, if it's coming out and releasing roughly around this time period and competing with this game's gonna steal all the thunder. No doubt about it. No matter how great an IP League of Legends is, it won't hold a water to this game, even if this game is not well received gameplay wise over a period of time. It has more of that flair.
The inspiration.
And also what's important is that it has good single player content. That'll secure this game to be a mainstay in the future.
For working on this project really came from a place of pure fandom and wanting to say, why isn't PlayStation in this space?
So PlayStation approached us with this vision to bring Marvel back to the forefront of the tag fighting genre. And that got us really excited because we had worked with them before on successful stuff like the Marvel Spider-Man franchise with Insomniac.
When it came to approaching Marvel, you have to kind of first float the idea and let them know, hey, you know, we're thinking
glad
about
this game's
approaching
getting me,
ArcSystemWorks to make a
on
fighting game. We'd love
PlayStation
to
and
partner
PC.
with you to do this really great collaboration. Would you be interested?
When they named the developer.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm glad that the game is on PlayStation and on PC. I hope it's not just on those two platforms alone, because fighting games live and die in large communities. And so the larger the community, the better. Having it on Xbox would also be great. So that way all three platforms can play together. Having it on Nintendo Switch 2 would be great. So that way it can play on all four platforms. The more platforms that can play this game, the better. I understand limitations with gameplay design and limitations of hardware design. Figure out a way. Figure it out. The more people that has access to the game, the better. Even if you can't cross-play everyone, just get it on as many fucking platforms as you can. I always worry with exclusivity because I know that exclusivity, it's great to get the initial funding for the development of the game, but it excludes so many people from having access to the game. And yes, you can have PlayStation and PC playing together cohesively, but I'm a little worried about that. It could be that the workaround is that if the game's on Steam, then maybe Xbox can still play the game via Steam that way, you know, but we'll see. I'm a little worried about that. You're definitely gonna master Spider-Man because he's your favorite character in all of Marvel. You and billions of others, man. He is so popular. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Spider-Man is so popular as a character that Sony themselves bought the IP of Spider-Man from Marvel. They own the IP of Spider-Man. And not only that, but they didn't buy it for tens of millions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars. They bought it for billions of dollars. And they only bought it just for that IP alone. And they bought it because the name of Spider-Man and what Spider-Man represents is so popular across the world, especially after the original Spider-Man, you know, live action movies with Tobey Maguire. So big, very big.
Developer, that really perked up our ears. It's always refreshing to work with a team that will take on the challenge of tackling Marvel, putting their own spin on it, and they're just uppercutting that challenge into the stratosphere. And that's what you get with this team. I mean, they couldn't make something boring if they tried.
社長からも本当に作れるんだったらぜひやりたいねっていうことを言われました。まあ話を受けてしまった以上これは私がプロデューサーなのかなっていうところで。
The tricky thing is that most fans, including myself, see this as a sacred genre for Marvel. The tough part is finding a partner that's crazy enough to take on the task, because you either do something like this big and bold or you don't do it at all.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like I have a good grasp on their art style and how they would approach certain IPs. You come in with your kind of own expectations of, here's what I would expect to see from ArcSystemWorks when they take on a Marvel IP. And what came up was something that went beyond that.
Jesus. One looks dope.
一番最初にマーベルさんに提出した時はなんとなくマイケルさんの反応はあんまり芳しくなかった印象があって、まあ何がまずいのかなっていろいろこうやっぱり直接話していくうちにもっとアークのやりたいマーベルを見せてくれというような話をいただいたことがあって。
I remember.
Oh my God, that is awesome. That never ever happened. So what that statement was that the developers initially created a game artistically that they thought that the company of Marvel wanted to see, and they turned it down because they're like, we know that you have a peculiar art style, we want you to embrace it, take our IP and run wild with it. That never happens. That means they're not getting the oversight of the producers that are saying, do this, do that, do this, do that, make this, that. That's how you staunch creativity. The producers are giving them free reign. Produce the game that you want to make. That's promising. That's just not promising. That is. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh no. That's so good. That's so good.
Personally, the first time I saw Iron Man was really when I felt we had something special.
なので今回のアイアンマンのデザインを皆さんご覧いただければわかると思うんですけども、かなりこう日本らしいアークシステムワークスらしいデザインっていうのが、出ているかなと思うので、マーベルの皆さんの反応がすこぶる良くて、あ、これなんだみたいないう感じで。
Iron Man is supposed to be this sleek fighter jet, think luxury race car mixed with a brick house.
Okay, I get it.
And the fact that they added anime mech elements to him just felt.
Yeah, I mentioned that it looks like an anime. The game being Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. Some people are preparing this game by playing another crossover game that this company made. Oh, Blaze Blue. Okay, now I get it because I didn't see the previous comment. Okay. Yeah, I could totally see that. That would make sense. Yeah, I could see overlap there.
Really naturally at home.
One of the mantras that we have for this project is from Japan to the world, and really trying to take not just the IP but gameplay mechanics and say, what can we really take from Japan, the creators that are doing awesome work here, and bring that to the global platform.
まあ特別なところいっぱいあるんですけど、まあ本当にやっぱり強調すべきは、まあ格闘ゲームのチームバトルの中では4対4というのがまず本当に意欲的で挑戦的なところだというところと、
When ARC looks at these Marvel characters, it's not simply just the visuals, it's also the gameplay mechanics and adding in that, what is that pop? What is going to be something that's different? Up until now, you've seen tag fighters that have 2v2, 3v3. We felt like we just had to go 4v4.
Okay, here's the thing. This is my major concern with the game then. Do you have enough characters? Yes, we know that there are plenty of Marvel characters that exist. But on release, will you have enough characters? Because here's the thing. The reason why 3v3 fighting games work the way they do, or 2v2, is because the roster is large enough where you have a large diversity of characters that change gameplay elements significantly. If you have a roster of 22 characters, it's not going to be enough. I mean, it'll be a lot of characters, but it will staunch some creativity at a certain point. You're going to need a really large roster, which can create some conflict too at the same time. Some people may think that 22 is enough. I don't think so for a 4v4. There's going to be too much overlap with character rotations. And also, how fast is the game going to move? One of the biggest issues with Dragon Ball FighterZ is that timeouts happen really quickly. So with 4 characters, that means there's 4 health pools. So how do you kill players quick enough? You have to make the time to kill pretty quick.
And in doing so, we found a lot of unique and fun ways to change up the gameplay that I think players are going to be very excited to see.
今回4対4という、まあ、革新的なところにチャレンジしている中で4キャラクター練習しないと勝てないんじゃないのとか安心してください。
That's
Learning
dope.
4 characters is extremely daunting, but the team at ArcSystemWorks has found a way to design a system that adapts to your playstyle. So you could either duke it out as just the leader and 3 assists, or you can tag in your assists to swap the leader and change the matchup on the fly.
I don't think a lot of people thought this day would be here, would come. You know, this has just been an awesome journey, and I'm excited that we get to be able to share it with all the fans out there.
I'll tell you right now, a lot of fighting games, they never get to experience this level of production, and it's just a dream to even be working with these 2 great partners.
それは決してビジネスという枠組みではなくて、まあ、それぞれの強い思いの中でこのタイトルを成功させよう、いいゲームにしてファンに届けようと。
The 3 companies have come together to do this, and I think we really are going to make something magical here.
このタイトルですね。
Honestly, this is equivalent to an SNK versus Capcom. I would even say it's even greater than, because in a lot of ways, SNK versus Capcom, when it released, it was a defining game of its genre. Not only because it was the colliding of 2 major fighting game companies, but it was a collaboration between 2 major fighting companies that dominated everything. Currently, this would be something that rivals that. It may not be a versus game, but what it is a large-scale cooperation between multiple studios driven by a dream. this may change everything. This may very well change everything. I'm so excited for this. I'm not the biggest fighting game person, but I do want to try it too. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. And like, look, I'm a huge fighting game player. I love fighting games, but I want to try it. Tag fighting games are not my cup of tea. I don't typically am drawn towards tag fighters because I like my games very like compact and mechanically focused. And my biggest gripe with tag fighters is that they're mechanically dense, and so it gets really overwhelming, and controlling the chaos is really intense. And people like that. There are many people that love that, love watching that, seeing that. It's very hype. But for me, it can be very overwhelming. So I like my games more simplistic. But that's impressive nonetheless, and I'm definitely gonna try it.
まだまだ開発途中ではありますが、続々とキャラクターも発表していきたいと思いますし、
So, ways away from
キャラ
development.
クター以外のコンテン
Probably
ツ
years
と
out.
いうところも今後いろいろ出ていくと思います。今しばらく楽しみにお待ちいただければなと思います。
Okay, the fact that he said that there's content outside of the characters is huge. That means that they are going to have a very good single player. I hope to God they have a very good single player experience, because this is just such a neglected part of gaming right now, especially on fighting games. It's, you know, I thought that, you know, with Street Fighter 6 there would be this whole big push for more single player content, and that's not happened. Yeah, there's been big innovations and big jumps in that area, but I really thought that with season 3 of Street Fighter 6 they would finally do a massive expansion to the game, like calling it Super Street Fighter 6, and doing a large World Tour expansion and a large update to the game, and that didn't happen. So I was really disappointed with that. So hopefully this becomes the game that reshapes the foundation of single player in fighting games, because in a lot of ways the game that did that initially was Mortal Kombat 9, and since then Mortal Kombat has kind of had a stranglehold on single player content. They recently kind of dropped that a little bit, and now Tekken took over it, but then they started dropping it over a period of time instead of upgrading that element. I would love to see a gameplay developer do both at the same time, where you're upgrading the multiplayer of the game and upgrading the single player of the game at the same time. There's got to be a way to do it. I can't imagine that it's impossible. You don't have to do it at the same pace, but I imagine there's got to be a way to do it, you know? That's just my mind at the very least. It's got to be possible. You know, I would love to see every 1.5 to 2 years a single player story expansion or a single player new challenge mode and game mode added for single player content that is engaging and invoking. You know, I would love to see things like that, but I don't see much of it nowadays, and to me it's sad. I think that it's a missed opportunity for casual experiences. I'd be happy to pay for an expansion for single player content. I'd be more inclined to buy that than costumes, to be honest. I would love to pay $20 for a single player expansion story mode. $15, $20, $10. You know, that was one of the big mishaps I think that ended up happening with Tekken 8 or Tekken 7. No, Tekken 8, because they sold the stage as DLC when that should have been free, but the single player content should have been paid access. Granted, I have yet to play that game mode, but I've heard nothing but negativity around it. And that's the common sentiment that I just keep hearing all the time about it.
Stay tuned.
Dude, that looks dope. The one looks dope as hell. Cool. Cool. Super dope. I'm guessing this is the end, right?
You're still with me?
Oh, wait, is there more? Okay, the end of it all. This was a good presentation. This was really impressive. Sony fucking killed it. Wide diversity of games, different formats, different genres. RPGs, action, horror, fighting, JRPGs, tacticals, indies. It hit every single note. Everything was good. This was a fantastic presentation. It may not be the greatest thing in the world, but it hit every note that it needed to hit and get people excited. I think the only blemish about this presentation is the fact that none of these games are releasing this year. All of these games are releasing next year. So though it's a very good presentation, a very exciting presentation, people have to wait. And that's the part that kind of sucks. That's the part that kind of stinks. And I think that's what made Xbox's showcase so well received last year, is that, or was it either earlier this year or at the end of last year, is that all these games were coming soon. And I think that that's where the big mishap is with a lot of development revolving around Sony's approach to these games, is that their announcements for these games are really long standing. And I get that they really need to sell these announcements now in order to keep investors happy and excited, and see, you know, investors not get spooked by some of the negativity revolving around it consumer wise. But I do think that they tend to prematurely shoot their wad a little too soon personally. That's just my perspective on it. That's the end of the presentation. Really good. Right, this is the end, right? What a lineup. Even, yeah, Metal Gear. I forgot about Metal Gear being a major lineup. Wow. Cool. I know nothing about gaming development, gaming making, or anything about that. I mean, I wouldn't say I know anything about it, but here's the thing: like, I follow the industry pretty closely. I read a lot of gaming journalists, and I consume a lot of gaming journalists that cover the development process and cover the intricacies of what goes on in gaming development, not necessarily the making of the game, but more like the political side of what's going on between the publisher and the developers, and what that communication line looks like. So I'm relatively aware of what that internal dialogue looks like, because those journalists do a great job of covering that. Many of them, at least, not all of them, many of them do a good job. And so that's how I know about it. But yeah, I do want to learn about that stuff, because I do want to learn about that stuff, about how that stuff is done, because I do feel like big and small content creators can make a game something special by great passion for the game that they always wanted to make. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing more clear to that than a game like Expedition 33, where a small development studio is able to just blow up an entire genre. You know, they always say this: throwing money at the problem, or throwing money at a game, is not the solution to making a great game. If you have the financial backing to make a great game, you're in a very unique position that very few game developers have access to. But typically, when a game development studio gets thrown too much money, what ends up happening is that publishers get nervous about where that investment is going, and they get greedy, and they start putting all these constraints about what the game should have, and it compromises the vision of what the game should be. And this hurts the game in the process. More often than not, when game vision fails, 90% of the time, it's usually managerial mistakes, and because of that, it compromises the game itself. And that's why, like, people get frustrated with a lot of it. There are very few cases in where game development actually fails. Like, I think that a great example of this would be Concord and Marathon right now, which is unfortunate that Marathon's going through that. Both of those games have a flawed vision right off the bat. And it's flawed because the identity in the focus of the game was never very clearly thought out. And I'm not talking about the stealing of assets in Marathon. I'm talking about the entire envisionment of the game was compromised right off the bat. It looks rushed. It looks incomplete. It looks not just poorly managed, but also it looked like it was meant to be something else at one point in time, and then it changed. That's what it looks like to me. And then you got a game like Concord, which clearly the passion was there. The developers wanted the game to succeed, but it missed timing. It missed the a vision that is exciting for consumers. But what it really missed more than anything else was there's this thing where when people initially think of your game, there is an immediate reaction, and you have a responsibility as a publisher, as a developer, to immediately to pay attention to what that immediate response is. We saw the same thing happen with the Suicide Squad game, where immediately when people saw the game, they were like, yeah, I don't know about this. And instead of learning from that feedback and seeing what it is that's drawing people away from it and trying to fix that, they double down. And that's a flawed vision. That means that your vision isn't cohesive with the vision of what people want right now. Either it's already being fulfilled or it's already been ran dry. And so that's a big problem with a lot of game developers, is that they don't seem to understand that. They don't seem to understand that sometimes it could be the missing of the time. It could be that people are burnt out. It could be that it's an over-saturated market. It could be a lack of vision about aesthetic designs. It could be many things, you know. But the biggest thing is that you need to be aware of it. And I think that this is a very common issue with the industry in general. Yeah.